This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, how are you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm doing just fine, John. And yourself?
Oh, I'm doing pretty damn good, actually. The weather's warm. It's summer, middle of July. Middle of July, hey, you know what that means.
Forest fires. Oh, and Comic Con.
Oh, yes, 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 absolutely. How could you forget Comic Con? You don't. It's the forest fires you want to forget.
Yes, especially since this podcast is will be going up right in time for preview night.
All right. So it sounds like that you're going to have a good time, and hopefully you get a good stash when you go over there, and and you search the good old bins.
Yes, so I mean that's almost not in question considering how things go. The question is that how much is that apparently there's a grip of stuff that they were offering this week through previews that resulted in like an insane. I mean, like this is stuff that I consider okay. I need to buy this,
Hmm.
but then when it's like when I got around to actually picking it up, I was like, God damn, how much? I mean, like it's like 11 things from this, like from the ship from this particular week that I needed to buy. Okay, because stuff I wanted to get, like here it is. It's like the Unwritten Volume 9, MPD Psycho Volume 11, the Murder Me Dead reprint from Image, Sex Volume 2, super cool, Gantz Volume 32, Captain America Volume 30, Volume 2, Castaway in Dimension Z Volume 2 softcover, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Volume 3 in hardcover. Finally, after 2-3 years, um, the Star Wars hardcover from Dark Horse, Volume 1 of the latest Wolverine volume from Paul Cornell and Marvel, Avengers Volume 5 from Hickman, Wolverine Origin 2 from Kieran Gillen, which hey, there's no way I'm gonna pass up something from him, and Walking Dead Volume 21, All Out War Volume 2. So I mean, it's like holy shit, man! Like there's all this fucking stuff that I may just have to pick up at the convention and then just cancel from my Amazon orders. But this is just boring ass bullshit that I'm sure everyone loves hearing about, like what I'm going to buy here. So let's move on from this and let's talk about Arkham City for a second, because I started playing that again after several months, and because like I've been meaning to get back into it after a while, because like it's such a fantastic game in terms of how it's like how well it just like adapts the gameplay of Arkham Asylum to an open world environment, and just broadens the scope, gives Batman a lot more interesting stuff to do, and just is a huge improvement over the basic style of Arkham Asylum. Arkham City, hands down, the best digital Batman simulator money can buy, at least until Rocksteady's final installment in the trilogy, Arkham Knight, comes out. Well, because I'm hoping they'll be able to top themselves, and now I've got my new PC, maybe I'll be able to pick up Arkham Origins as a really cheap ass download before that happens.
That's what I was
But
going
anyway,
to ask you: is what platform was that on?
uh, this is PS3 because I got locked into the PS3 upgrade path for this one because Arkham Asylum offered unplayable Joker um, when they in the challenge maps when it was released. And hey, I never actually got around to playing the challenge maps in Arkham Asylum, but hey, they were offering free content that Xbox didn't have. So hey, that basically made up my mind for me. So there you go. Anyway, but my point, but taking the long way around things, the storyline, it's really energetic fan fiction from Paul Dini, like who everyone knows as one of the chief architects behind Batman the animated series, which basically everyone loves that show, and it's responsible for like cementing a lot of people's love of Batman in the '90s, and as well as introducing him to the character. Period. Now, at one point, now at one point though, I mean, the story centers around Batman being poisoned by Joker after he's injected with the Joker's blood, and at one point, it looks like the Joker has stolen the cure, and now he's used to get all well again. And after Batman breaks into his steel mill hideout, he's greeted by a after he beats up some of the thugs, he's greeted by this one PR message from the Joker, just talking about, hey, it's like I'm back and I'm better than ever. And it's like, and hey, how did I get this? how did I get this way? Oh, you don't need answers. I mean, just think about your favorite TV show and how they've given you all they've been with you through the thick and thin. Then it's like they've and then they finally tell you what it's all about. It's like, what were they doing? Why were they here? What were they all doing in a church at the end? And if you've ever watched Lost, then you know that that's a very pointed reference to the series finale of the show, which I didn't hate compared to a lot of what I've heard about a lot of other people thought about this series. But it's also worth noting that Paul Dini was actually one of the executive producers and writers on the early seasons of the show. It's also worth noting that even though like the Joker's trolling everyone about getting answers for his condition, we actually do get the answers to the condition just a couple hours later, or not that much longer later, depending on how close you want to dive into the last part after getting to that bit. But it's still worth noting because just the whole idea that that it's never really the answers that matter for like a long running series. It's all about the characters and whether or not they can make you like basically get you to go along with everything up until the point that like the series run goes reaches to its climax. People who created Lost would have you believe that it's all about the characters, but then they threw up so much crazy ass shit over the course of the series, and they failed to deliver on a lot of this stuff. I mean, I could deal with a lot of this stuff except for Walt, but that's how I feel. But it's also worth noting that they had their final bonus video with the series box set was this gigantic amount of sour grapes from the creators at the fans who demanded answers, and all the answers they gave were just so inconsequential and worthless that you wonder, well, why the fuck didn't you give this information out in the series if it didn't matter that much?
So there's a lot of red herrings in the show. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying there aren't any red herrings. They just don't answer a lot of stuff. Period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like Battlestar Galactica. Could on one hand, it's actually, even though it's like everything didn't quite hold together perfectly over the course of the series, they still did a lot better job in terms of paying off in terms of like the stuff they set up over the course of the series, and also just finding ways to paper over the issues that they had to deal with in terms of people who wanted out of their contracts and whatnot.
I understand, but there's a little bit of a well, we'll lead you on a little bit this way, and I've seen that in plots and and whatnot. But just I don't know, say that it's like, okay, well, there's no answer here. Move along, move along.
Exactly, and I think that's why. I mean, there's been a lot of bitterness over the series that I think has yet to dissipate in the last couple of years, and and just hearing the Joker go on about that in Arkham City was really quite cathartic in a way. But this is all taking the very, very long way around to our subject tonight, and that's two series that do owe a lot to the Lost style of storytelling, in the sense that they're setting up lots of crazy situations, lots of like what the fuck is going on here, what are we doing here, and crazy ass shit like time travel, mind control, reality abilities that defy reality, stuff like that. But more importantly, it's like they're also the kind of series that for me at least make me go, okay, I'm actually going to need to sit back and reread things after a certain point. So this is like the minor reread for me, and because of these two series I'm talking about, the first one that basically prompted me to do this in the first place was Morning Glories. Now, I talked about this series, I think we're talking almost 2 years ago. We're also in front of this is a pre-Comic-Con podcast, and in the 2 years since they released Volume 3, things have gotten progressively crazier and more off the rails since then. I mean, I've said before that it benefits from the fact that that it's written. It's the brainchild of one man, Nick Spencer, writing, and he doesn't have to deal with the issues that Lost had in terms of budget and well, not really budget, but just dealing with cast members who either wanted to leave or and then or weren't available for the times that they needed them to be. Um, so he's just got he and and artist Joe Eisma are basically working basically have all the tools they need, and so they basically only have them themselves to blame if things don't fit, if things don't work out the way they plan. But as things have gone on since then, like from volume 4 onwards, I've really felt this feeling that um, that's like, well, I'm going that if I'm going to like enjoy the series, I'm actually going to go and need to reread every volume before a new volume comes out. I that's why volume 6 sat for over a month on my desk before I finally got around to reading it, and I had to actually go consult online to find out like, hey, who was Daniel Clarkson again? Turns out she's the time traveling version of one of the original Morning Glories, Casey, after she went into a cave during the whole the episode where everyone disappeared into some sort of like limitless, timeless state during the Wood Run. And I'm still wondering, like, how the fuck that happened in the first place. I mean, the characters themselves are interesting, but it's also a bad sign when the character that everyone likes the most, Ike, like the nihilistic preppy who just is a huge dick to everyone. When he starts putting guns to people's heads and demanding answers, um, it's like when you're just like wanting to root for him to get these answers, and then when his face starts bleeding because apparently what the answers he's demanding involves some sort of crazy time travel paradox. Um, well, it's kind of like, okay, that's great, yeah. But I will say that after rereading, I read rereading the volumes 1 through 6 did help me prepare adequately for volume 7, because volume 7 is more or less all about it's more standalone stories about the truants. The It's like the group of kids who were sent to the academy prior to it's like prior to prior to the original cast's arrival, and we finally get some backstory into Fortunato, who is he's not the guy who speaks English all that well, and but he's apparently just deeply loved by Akiko, and apparently see like one of the teachers just has a real huge mad on for him, and it's like, and he's also been recruited by Miss Clarkson, and it's kind of like, geez, it's just fun, just seeing his story right here just kind of reminds me of the standalone episodes of Lost, where you'd find out about you get a character and you'd flashback, get their backstory. It's like it's like during over the course of the episode, and that's actually kind of true for all of the it's like all the stories in this volume, because we also get one for like sarcastic nerd Ian, and it turns out that he's apparently capable of existing in se- several versions of himself are capable of existing in the same period of same space of time at once. Then Akiko, who is still in a coma, winds up exploring her coma ness, and we also get and even interacting with the mysterious bearded guy in it's like in a white outfit that we've seen in certain panels over the course of the series. Um, then we see. Then you've also got and then we get you find out what happened to Abraham after he disappeared in Volume 5, and it turns out he just made his way off to a place that was to a place in India. It was a room in India that was completely filled. Oh, a place in Morocco that was completely filled with snakes. How he did this, no goddamn clue. But but even then, like this, see this this issue does give us more glorious Ike speak as he has as he just rambles on to Jade and of course to Gribbs, who he probably shot in the head but didn't kill, which that's just sucks to be him. But now rereading it did give me some insight and help me clear up a couple things as far as it goes. But at this point, I'm just kind of wondering, is Nick Spencer really like going to just like save all of the answers for like the final volume? Because if he's going to do that, it's like that's just like sounds like a recipe for disaster for me. Um, John, it's like I know that I don't know if you heard this, but I remember that with Battlestar Galactica, we actually remember we found out the identity of the last member of the final five Cylons in the second half of the final season at the very beginning, all because like Ron Moore and the other creators said that they didn't want to have people wondering who was the final one at the end of the it's like at the end of the series.
Speculation was rampant, I believe, at that point.
Yeah, and it's like, and you don't want to have like people going like waiting on these like last batch of episodes or like last few issues or the last volume saying, we want answers. Are you going to give it to us? It's like, you want to give the smart thing to do would be to follow Galactica's example and make sure all of the major stuff is answered so that you don't so that your audience isn't left hanging and braying for your blood by not getting this stuff at the very end. I can only hope that Spencer isn't going to just keep us dangling like he's right now. Volume 7 takes us up to issue 38, and he's already said that this series is planned for a 60-issue run. So we got 22 issues to go. Assuming sales hold out for that long, and according to what I've seen on Diamond sales charts, it may last 60. It depends on how. I guess it depends on how well the series has been selling in trades. In order to help supplement that, because I know people have been jumping ship by a significant degree since the series restarted for season 2 with issue 26. Anyway, but I'm saying is, it's like I don't know. At this point, I may just, unless it starts becoming actively awful to like basically maybe go, oh fuck this, and cause me to sell every volume. It's like I'm probably going to be still on board for things, but even then, it's like volume 7 ended with the surprise return of one of the formerly dead Glories, which I thought, oh god, not her. So I don't know. Maybe they'll find a way to explain why she's back, and also just why I should care, considering I'm still wondering. The only explanation like for what she did, why she did what she did in the course of the series was just because she was just goddamn crazy, and that just doesn't strike me as a good reason at all. But anyway, so we're going from a series that I was really big on initially and has cooled off since, to a series that I did not like at initially, but have since actually kind of like really warmed up to. That would be a Matt Kint's Mind Management. Now it's telling that now in the first volume, the foreword is by Lost co-creator Damon Lindelof, and so when you're building a series about lots of unexplained questions, that getting Lindelof to basically saying, hey, I endorse this series, it's not a good sign. And in fact, the first volume I thought was actually kind of crap, in the sense that it just had it basically focused around a writer named Meru, who had a big bestseller years ago, but has since fallen into a rut. But then she decides to hear about this unsolved mystery of this amnesia flight for all these people who went on this flight. They lost their memory, and have been since trying to get their lives back in order. But except for the one person who was on the manifest but wasn't with the group that showed up, a guy named Harry Lime. And so she feels that he's the key to solving this. So she goes off on this bizarre quest in order to solve it. But thing is, she does meet Lime, and it turns out that he's one of the survivors of this government program called Mind Management that basically worked in like crazy mind and body control things, like being able to like heal yourself from any wound, causing people to see things in ads that weren't there, inspiring feelings from writings you've read, erasing parts of your memory, punching holes in walls because you can see the weakness, things like that. So it's and Lime was one of the survivors from this. It's like from this thing, and as we find out, he's also the guy who he's also the guy who basically got Meru involved in the first place. And it turns out this isn't the first time he's like she's found him. In fact, she's just been come here like half a dozen times already, because in order to track down Lime so he can confess his sins to her, which include causing a slaughter in this one Zanzibarian city. And but at the end of the first volume, it basically turns into a closed loop where Meru forgets everything, and it's like, oh well, fuck this. I mean, like, why? It's like, hey, the character like goes on everything, and then she's going to solve this mystery, and then it's completely taken away from her because hey, that's the way things are going. Like the entire first volume is one giant zero sum game that annoyed the shit out of me. But then Kent actually has, since this is an ongoing series, he actually has to expand out of that zero sum game with volume 2, and so then basically has Lime tracking down Meru in order to basically, because apparently currently he needs her help in taking on in fighting the other people who are trying to bring back mind management and do it right this time. But since it was such a screwed up program to begin with, these people, like, this is only going to mean bad things for everyone involved. And so we get, and so volume 2 was a significant improvement over the first one. Least of which because we got to meet characters like Duncan, the futurist, who could read minds of everyone within a 5-mile radius and predict the future based on what they were doing, and also guess he convinced you that he was going to kill you just by using his finger, and and the eraser who was basically out to one of the crew who's out to get resurrect mind management and her abilities to erase parts of your memory, and also Bill Falls, who we thought was just a CIA agent, but turned out to be a whole lot more. And we also find a lot more about Meru's involvement with mind management at 2 different points in her life, and how she's actually like probably the most powerful and gifted graduate. So then it brings us to volume 3, which after I read it the first time, I realized, okay, I get a lot of stuff that's here, but I need to go back and reread the first 2 volumes in order to get all of it. And that turned out to be very useful, because while volume 3, the Homemaker, centers around it's like the actions of a Russian operative of the Russian end of the Russian answer to mind management, who was subsequently recruited into mind management and basically left as a sleeper agent for years. How she is eventually reactivated, and then the chaos she causes in her, it's like inner suburban life. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy ass stuff. It's like, and but Kent doesn't stop there, because 3 also just does a good job of filling in a lot of the blanks from the course of the series. We get to see Meru and Bill Falls going back to Zanzibar and trying to get some answers for what happened there. Harry Lime explains just how he set up Meru to come back and find him set like half a dozen different times, and why exactly now, after the most recent time he saw her, he's now missing his eyeballs. And then there's also the murder mystery behind this one this one woman who it's like who was married to a science fiction writer, but then killed him and and her kids, and the revelation of who she actually is in the mind management mythos. It's like this is stuff that didn't quite I didn't quite pick up on the first time, but the second time, it's like it actually did make a whole lot of sense. And then we also get, and even though like I think that Kint's art is kind of like his characters aren't really that expressive, and they're kind of like very monotone. It's I'm kind of warming up to his like how they look nonplussed in the face of all this craziness, but there is this bravura, like fold out, like 4-page fold out spread that shows you the chaos that the homemaker has managed to inflict on her suburban community, and it is a really impressive piece of work. So so I like that, and also how the series the volume ends with it's like with Meru basically taking control of her destiny and basically forging on her head, and also we get the probably we get to see probably the happiest person in the mind management series, a girl who can speak with not really can't really speak with animals but can communicate with them, and she lets and we basically find out that she's made her decision about what to do in this conflict between former operatives of the agency, and it's handled really nicely, and I liked how it went against what I was expecting like from there, but it's also worth noting that Kint is also the kind of guy who I like to. There's one review I read of this series where a reviewer described Kint as a guy who kind of uses the whole hog in terms of comics, what is available to comics, and this is like seen in the every volume as he puts in like mind management guidelines in the sides of pages. He'll do mini comics at the bottom of of certain pages in each volume. While it can be a pain to just take all this stuff in, like as you're reading every single page, it's like as you read it you realize that this is actually like additional almost not really quite necessary but illuminating exposition for this for the series, and it's like it's going to pay off at some point. But most importantly, mind management is actually scheduled to end with volume 6, so basically 36 issues and done. So and I think that's really the smart thing with that Kent's doing here, that he's cramming as much stuff as he possibly can to every issue. Like it's Mind Management is a much denser read than Morning Glories, and I think it is ultimately the better for it. Plus, I mean, when you're doing a series that is like so heavily contingent on on questions and just what the hell is going on, that to just keep people wondering, as it's like don't drag out their wondering, just have them it's like give them their answer. Like you can just don't drag it out for long. Like 36 issues is a much better better length for us to keep waiting than 60. So that's what I can say right there. So far I'm actually really looking forward to the next volume of Mind Management, Volume 4, The Magician, coming out later this year. And rereading these previous volumes is to get to understand what's going to go on there doesn't actually strike me as much of an ordeal as the idea of rereading all 7 volumes of Morning Glories to get all the nuances of the next collection of 4 or 5 issues. So at this point, Morning Glories could still turn out to be worthwhile in the end, and it certainly does have its merits. And rereading it did illustrate a few of them, but at the same time, I get the feeling that it's that there's this stinging feeling that it may not be worth it in the end, and that kind of feeling keeps growing like with each volume that I read. In fact, a friend of mine, a coworker, asked me hey, should I check out this series? And I said, no, it's very lostish. You're going to want to wait until the very end. So really, at this point, if you're not already on board the Morning Glories crazy train, don't get on it. Wait until the end and to find out whether or not Spencer actually does deliver in the end. Mind Management, however, these 3 volumes worth reading right now. And even though they're in hardcover, they're still some of the densest 6 issues of comics you'll read for $20. So there you go. John, anything you'd like to add here?
Oh, not particularly, although I won't be boarding that train.
Okay.
And with that, well, you
Yeah, it's gone on long enough, so we're just gonna let you go now.
yeah, yes. We're going to let you go. And, hey, as Comic Con's coming up this week, you're going to get ready for that and hop on board. So, and with that, we'll wrap up this podcast and we'll catch you next time.
All right, everyone, take it easy.
All right.